The pregnancy test trembled in Ellie's hands as two pink lines appeared, confirming what she had suspected for weeks. One night with Ryan, her temporary subordinate at work, had changed everything. Now, as she stood outside his office door 3 months after he'd become her boss in a shocking company restructure, she finally gathered the courage to tell him about the baby, and her feelings. Little did she know, Ryan had been harboring a confession of his own. If you're enjoying this story so far, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more emotional journeys that explore life's unexpected turns. Your support helps us continue creating content that touches hearts. 3 months earlier, Ellie Morgan had been the rising star at Horizon Marketing. At 32, she was the youngest department head the company had ever appointed, known for her brilliant campaigns and no-nonsense leadership style. When Ryan Taylor joined her team as a temporary consultant, she'd barely given him a second glance, at least professionally. The Henderson account needs a fresh approach, she had told her team during their Monday morning meeting. Ryan, since you're new, maybe you can offer a perspective we haven't considered. Ryan had nodded, his deep blue eyes meeting hers with unexpected intensity. I've got some ideas I'd like to discuss with you. Perhaps over dinner? The boldness of his suggestion had caught her off guard, but something about his quiet confidence intrigued her. That would be inappropriate, she'd replied automatically, though without much conviction. Just as colleagues, he'd clarified with a smile that suggested otherwise. I promise to keep it professional. That promise had lasted through appetizers and most of dinner, until their conversation drifted from marketing strategies to personal dreams, childhood memories, and shared laughter. One dinner had turned into drinks at a nearby lounge, and the professional boundaries between them had dissolved with each passing hour. The next morning, Ellie had woken in Ryan's apartment with immediate regret. She'd slipped out before he awoke, leaving a hastily written note about maintaining professional distance. At work, she'd avoided him as much as possible, assigning him to projects that required minimal interaction with her. Then came the corporate bombshell. Horizon was restructuring, and in a twist that seemed like cosmic punishment, Ryan was revealed to be the son of the company's largest investor, temporarily working in different departments to learn the business from the ground up. He wasn't just any consultant, he was being groomed for executive leadership. Within weeks, he became her direct supervisor. I wanted to tell you, he'd said when she confronted him in his new corner office. But I was enjoying being treated like a normal employee for once. You lied to me, she'd accused, feeling betrayed and embarrassed. I never lied. I just didn't volunteer information that wasn't relevant to our work together. His expression had softened. Or to what happened between us. What happened between us was a mistake, she'd stated firmly, ignoring the flutter in her chest when he looked at her. And it won't happen again. For 2 months, they'd maintained a strictly professional relationship, though the tension between them was palpable to everyone in the office. Ellie threw herself into her work, trying to ignore both her growing feelings for Ryan and the subtle changes in her body that she initially attributed to stress. When morning sickness hit in the 3rd month, she could no longer deny the truth. A doctor's visit confirmed it, she was pregnant with Ryan's child. Now, standing outside his office door after hours, when most employees had gone home, Ellie took a deep breath and knocked. Come in, Ryan called. He looked up from his computer, his expression brightening when he saw her. Ellie. This is a surprise. We need to talk, she said, closing the door behind her. And not about the Westfield campaign. Ryan gestured to the chair across from his desk, but she remained standing, too nervous to sit. I'm pregnant, she said, the words tumbling out before she could lose her nerve. It's yours. From that night. Ryan froze, his pen slipping from his fingers and clattering onto the desk. For a moment that stretched into eternity, he said nothing, his face unreadable. Please say something, Ellie whispered, her hand unconsciously moving to her still flat stomach. Ryan stood slowly, circling his desk until he stood before her. How long have you known? A week. I needed time to process before telling you. He nodded, running a hand through his dark hair. And what do you want to do? I'm keeping the baby, she said firmly. I don't expect anything from you, but you deserve to know. Ryan's expression softened, and to her surprise, he reached for her hand. I've been wanting to talk to you too, Ellie. These past months, keeping my distance because you asked me to, it's been torture. Ryan. Let me finish, he said gently. That night wasn't just a casual encounter for me. I felt something real with you, something I haven't felt in years, not since my wife died. Ellie's eyes widened. Your wife? You never mentioned. Cancer, 3 years ago, he explained. After losing her, I threw myself into work, into learning the family business. I wasn't looking for a relationship when I met you, but sometimes life has other plans. He squeezed her hand. I've been trying to find the courage to tell you how I feel, but I was afraid of complicating our professional relationship even further. And now I'm pregnant, Ellie finished for him, tears welling in her eyes. Now we're having a baby, he corrected, his voice thick with emotion. And I couldn't be happier. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of adjustments. Ryan immediately disclosed their relationship to HR and arranged for Ellie to report to another executive to avoid any conflict of interest. The pregnancy news spread quickly through the office, generating surprised looks and whispered conversations, but Ryan's unwavering support silenced most of the gossip. At home, they navigated the delicate process of merging their lives. Ryan's spacious apartment had plenty of room for Ellie's belongings, but she insisted on maintaining her own place until they were sure about their relationship. This isn't just about us anymore, she reminded him one evening as they browsed baby furniture online. We need to be certain we're together for the right reasons, not just because of the baby. Ryan set aside his laptop and took her hands in his. Ellie, I was falling for you before I knew about the baby. This pregnancy just accelerated a journey we were already on. But what if it doesn't work out, she asked, voicing her deepest fear. I grew up with parents who stayed together for the kids and were miserable. I won't do that to our child. Neither will I, Ryan promised. Which is why we'll take this one day at a time. No pressure, no rushing. Just us figuring it out together. As her first trimester ended, Ellie faced another challenge, telling her parents. Her mother had always envisioned a traditional path for her, marriage first, then children, and had made no secret of her disappointment in Ellie's focus on career over family. The Sunday dinner at her parents' suburban home was tense from the moment she and Ryan arrived. So you're the boss who got my daughter pregnant, her father said bluntly after introductions. Dad! Ellie exclaimed, mortified. Ryan, however, remained calm. I'm the man who fell in love with your daughter and is honored to be starting a family with her, yes. His sincerity seemed to catch her father off guard. Her mother, meanwhile, studied Ryan with narrowed eyes. And what are your intentions, she asked. Ellie tells us you were married before. Mom, that's not. It's okay, Ryan assured Ellie before addressing her mother. I lost my wife to cancer 3 years ago. I never expected to find love again, but Ellie changed that. I'm committed to her and our child, whether that eventually leads to marriage or not. That's for Ellie to decide when she's ready. By dessert, the atmosphere had thawed considerably. As they were leaving, Ellie's mother pulled her aside. He's different from the others, she said quietly. He looks at you the way your father used to look at me. Ellie glanced across the room where Ryan was engaged in animated conversation with her father about baseball. I know, Mom. That's what scares me. Love should scare you a little, her mother replied with unexpected wisdom. It means you have something precious to lose. 6 months into the pregnancy, Ellie moved in with Ryan. Their relationship had deepened, strengthened by the shared experience of doctor's appointments, Lamaze classes, and late-night discussions about parenting philosophies. Ryan had converted his home office into a nursery, painting the walls himself on weekends while Ellie directed from a comfortable chair, her belly now prominently rounded. "I never thought I'd be here," she admitted one night as they lay in bed, Ryan's hand resting protectively on her stomach. "A baby on the way, living with my former subordinate turned boss turned hopelessly devoted partner?" Ryan suggested, kissing her shoulder. "It's like a soap opera," she laughed. "My mother would say it's scandalous." "The best love stories usually are," he murmured against her skin. Their daughter, Lily Grace Taylor, arrived on a stormy spring morning after 18 hours of labor. Ryan never left Ellie's side, his steady presence anchoring her through the pain and exhaustion. When the nurse placed the tiny, red-faced bundle in Ellie's arms, she looked up at Ryan through tears of joy and exhaustion. "She's perfect. Just like her mother," Ryan whispered, his voice breaking as he gently touched his daughter's cheek. That night, as Ellie dozed in the hospital bed with Lily sleeping in the bassinet beside her, she awoke to find Ryan watching them both, an expression of wonder on his face. "What is it?" she asked sleepily. "I was just thinking about that night, our first night together," he said softly. "How one decision, one moment of connection, led to all of this." He gestured to their sleeping daughter. "Life can change so quickly. Are you having regrets?" Ellie asked, suddenly alert. Ryan shook his head emphatically. "The opposite. I'm thinking about how grateful I am that I gathered the courage to ask you to dinner that day." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. "And I'm hoping you'll be brave enough to say yes to another question." Ellie's breath caught as he opened the box to reveal a vintage emerald ring surrounded by tiny diamonds. "This was my grandmother's," he explained. "She gave it to me before she died, told me to save it for when I found love again." He took her hand. "Ellie Morgan, I know our story didn't follow the conventional path. We did everything backward, boss and employee, one night together, pregnancy, and then falling in love. But I wouldn't change a single step of our journey because it led us here, to this moment, with our beautiful daughter and a future I can't wait to build with you." Tears streamed down Ellie's face as he continued. "I'm not asking because of Lily, though she's the most amazing gift you could have given me. I'm asking because I love you, your strength, your determination, your heart. Will you marry me, Ellie? Not right away, not until you're ready, but someday?" Through her tears, Ellie smiled. "Yes," she whispered. "Someday soon." 1 year later, they married in a simple ceremony in Ryan's backyard, with Lily toddling down the aisle in a flower girl dress, helped by Ellie's mother. Their colleagues from Horizon filled the seats, the office gossip having long since transformed into genuine support for their unconventional love story. As they exchanged vows under an arch of white roses, Ellie thought about the journey that had brought them here, from that first dinner to the positive pregnancy test to Ryan's heartfelt confession in his office. None of it had been planned, none of it had followed the careful, controlled path she had always set for herself. And yet, as Ryan slipped the wedding band onto her finger to join her grandmother's engagement ring, she knew with absolute certainty that this unplanned life was infinitely better than anything she could have designed herself. Sometimes, the most beautiful stories begin with one unexpected night. Thank you for watching this emotional journey of love, courage, and unexpected blessings. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more content that celebrates life's unpredictable paths. Remember, sometimes the most beautiful chapters of our lives begin with moments we never planned for. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you in our next video.